Pablo here, and welcome to the channel. Today, we are reviewing 3 hands played during the Bankroll challenge, and who else could I have brought than Robin? He's a long-time GG crasher and a BTS coach. Robin is a 25-year-old professional from the Netherlands who has over 2 million hands played in 200 Russian casts with crazy results. And he has taught, and still teaches, many of our students on how to crash the GG pool. Hope you enjoyed the new format and let us know in the comments what you think about it. We're playing blind versus blind versus an unknown guy who seems reggy. In game, I thought he was reggy. I don't know here, I don't have much info, but well, I guess maybe I did have the info in game. Go for the standard open and face a call. Flop comes a deuce. And well, again, like here I could see reasons to go for different strategies. I would definitely have a bet in range. 1/3 seems fine at a decent frequency. I imagine like 60-70%. I think we get to range bet. But then even having big bets when the deuce X is not that relevant. It's somewhat relevant because it's blind be blind, but still our overpair advantage is pretty heavy. He's going to be 3-betting also, should be 3-betting mostly ace deuce, like if not always, most of the time. And then she's not going to be having any other deuce offsuit deuce X. So yeah, I think our overpair advantage could make sense. Could be enough to go for big bets. That being said, I tend to just go 1/3 at a decent frequency and simplify that way. And this hand, somewhere in between, I'm also mixing this hand. I don't know if you see any reasons to go one way, the other, or how do you approach this?
Yeah, personally, I also go for the small size. I think, one problem that I see is that if you compare to how a solver would 3-bet pre-flop, I'm not sure if people are going to find as much. For example, ace deuce off, but also hands like jack deuce suited or 10 deuce suited should be 3-betted at some frequency. Range is already wide, so it's not going to be like that important. But especially the ace deuce off, which
ace deuce has a lot of weight.
That has a lot of weight. So I tend to just go for a small size here and then not range betting on this low board, but. You probably could, with some decent frequency, go for the small bet.
Totally. Okay. I did go for the check this time. We feign out 1/3 and versus 1/3. This is a hand that just has too much equity. We need to continue. Perfect check raising a bit more when we have a club. I don't think it would be horrible to check raise here, but it's a hand that has decent showdown value. We don't want to check raise and get him to fold queen 5 or spades or something like that. So I think it's mainly a check call here.
Yeah, I agree with the check call. I think this hand is very easy call, but also I think a lot of people are just already maybe overfolding here because you have to defend very wide here. Yes. I think if you have like any 2 overs
any
here,
2 overs, yes.
Defend, you have to be defending very wide.
Yeah, if it's not by check calling, at least by check raising 10-9, something like that. Maybe the worst ones you can go for the check raise, but at least you have to continue even with 10-9 of hearts here.
Sure.
Okay. Check call, find a 10.
Okay.
And we find a barrel here. There's a bit of a size up from him.
Seems like it's a bit of a size up, yeah. It's around 80%.
Yes. So it looks like maybe he went for the 75 and then the mouse will up. I don't know if I picked this up in game. Probably, if there is a size up, it means it's going to be slightly stronger range. And now, yes, we have actually the 3 options. I probably don't like check calling that much now because we have some showdown equity, but it's going to be a bit hard really to realize that. So I would probably go more for the check fold or check raise. I mean, with the size up now, like probably check folding is best.
I would probably check fold here. I think it feels a little bit too weak to continue, especially with the size up. Indeed.
Yes. Yes.
Not sure if this is going to be a defend in theory, but feels very marginal.
Yeah, the thing is, it seems close, and I think with the read that sizing is likely to be a bit stronger than it should. Well, then I think folding is best. Yes, with that read should be enough to go one way or the other when we have a close decision, I think. 8 deuce. Confirm. What time is it? Brick 10. Yeah, I was already checking the hand. And yeah, it's close.
It's actually defending still most of the time.
Yeah, but it's 0 EV, and I think with the read of his range being slightly, like even if we think it's slightly stronger than it should, then it turns into a check fold.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I do like the check fold. In game, yeah, I mean, was not that happy about check calling, to be honest. Could be okay. Didn't think, I mean, it was going to be a bit hard really to realize equity. So I did go for a check raise. Which, I mean, in theory is fine and it should be fine probably if he goes for a standard size, but I think with the size that he used, I could have been a bit more focused and actually just could have just gone for the check fold.
Problem also is if this is a size up, we're not sure. But if that's the case, we very well could be against the range that is so much stronger than the normal betting range, and then we're just lighting money.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, when we find these things, like, it's not like we're going to be always right. But, I mean, just being, if this is a size up half the time, then it's already a fold,
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, you just have to be at least sometimes sometimes right to make this. Plus EV, he does call, we raise a 5, and now is, well, I mean, once we go for the check raise, I do not see myself ever really giving up here. Like, there are still flash draws that could be in there. Jack 9.
Yeah, there are quite some flush draws.
9-7. Yeah.
Still in there, and those are going to autofold.
Yeah.
Jack 9, also good option for him to have.
Even at 10, yeah. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, even though we have a Jack in our hand, he's still going to have the offsuit version. So
yes.
He's still going to have those 9-7.
Yes.
Especially if you have those offsuit, then still a lot of combos that we get to autofold.
Yes.
Then the question is, do you think if he has like 8x, 10x, is he always going to call down when we go for it here?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a pretty strong line that you find by an unknown in 50NL. Like, I mean, I wouldn't see crazy if people fold here 10x, right? Like, I don't think it would be a crazy fold or anything. Like, check call, check raise, push.
No, I mean, for sure. If you're just play against an unknown and he's taking his line, I'm sure it's going to be pretty under bluffed population. So if a reg is facing this, I'm sure he's going to be very hesitant to just call down. I don't think a 10 here is going to be a snap call in practice at all.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, having like the snap folds by the flash draws, by the Jack 9, 9-7 even, and then if he even folds some 10x, I think the EV is going to be...
I think especially if it's against someone that is unknown for you, I think most people will just tend to lay it down. Maybe if you have more, a meta game with someone, then I could see, you have to be a little bit more careful because you are going to have quite some combos to bluff with in these white spot configurations, right? Because you're going to have Queen Jack, Jack 9, 9-7, I don't know, maybe some flush draws. It's very easy in these situations, especially with the offsuit combos, to overdo it.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, in the end, like, if he calls all the bluff catchers, then we are in trouble. So yeah. But with no info, I think the jam should be good. And he actually thought about it, like, for some time, and then showed up with ace deuce. So,
well, if he's thinking so long with ace deuce, you can be pretty confident that he will be folding an 8 or a 10.
Exactly.
But then again, I think after he has seen this hand, it's more likely that the next time he could look you up if he has just a 10 or something.
Definitely. And the ace, the size up on the turn does tell that he had
definitely something to take a note of.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we lost that one. Next hand, the kings. We find an open and then a call from, the open is from an unknown regular, 2.2. It's pretty small sample, like he's 18, 16, 6 BPIP before raise and 3-bet. So that's a pretty small sample, but overall the pool tends to be on the nitty side. So yeah. And then we find a call by a recreational who's playing 30 BPIP on 60 hands. Not super loose, but well, we have kings, so what else are you gonna do? Go 13.5. I don't know if you use these kind of sizes, if you go bigger or smaller in these situations.
I think size like this is good. Yeah, 13.5 would also be my standard size. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Depends a little bit on what the configuration is on the table. Like who is the recreational, who's the regular.
Yes. With no info, that's my standard sizing, or with no reasons really to do anything different. And well, now we find pretty bad board with the ace on the flop.
This is the flop that comes 90% of the time in a spot like this.
Yeah, for sure. So, it's pretty bad board, especially with these two cards pre-connected. Like, this guy could be holding like 9s for sure. Not sure about 6s, I don't think people will be holding that. But now again, this guy, like, recursions will tend to overrate ace-x quite a bit. So he's going to be holding a lot of ace-x. So just starting with a check here. I don't think betting really accomplishes that much. It wouldn't be horrible to go for a small size, but
no, I would definitely just check here.
Okay. And it goes check. Turn is a jack. And again, I think the standard play is checking. I don't know if you do anything.
No, I don't see too much reason. They both still could have quite some ace-x. You're up against two people. Our hand is just clear showdown value.
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect. So that's what we do. And now the rotation. Let's go for the 14.5 big blinds. And here, after the regular checks twice, it's really going to be kind of hard for him to have many better hand. Some ace-5, I guess, but even those, not too sure. Like, he's always calling pre.
I think those hands are pretty likely to fold pre versus this pre size.
Yes. So I think probably versus the reg, we're gonna be holding a worse hand. Another recreational, he doesn't have a super big BPIP, but for this size, he could still be holding Jack X, a lot of draws, like King Queen, King 10, Queen 10, 10-8. I don't know, random hand 7-6. There are some ace-x in there, but I don't think I ever fold here. What do you think?
I agree. I definitely have seen recreationals just bet here with a jack or even some worse hand for some thin value, and then there's so many bluff combos, and we get a very good price on our call. So don't see any reason to fold just yet. And as you said, I think first the regular we're going to be good very, very often.
Yes. Okay, agreed. Here comes 6 of clubs. Standard check. Now he goes 30. Okay, here again, I was thinking that maybe if he jams, it would definitely be a tougher decision. I think versus this size, it's like a super clear call. here recreationals could even be checking back some ace 10, ace 5. I don't think they will be always value betting those hands. And so yeah, then if his range is either flashes or full houses, like yeah, he's not gonna contain many of those. So, and he still contains like all the possible bluffs that we just mentioned on the turn. So yeah, I think the EV of this call is super high.
Yeah, no, fully agree. I think especially with the flush coming in, recreationals tend to sort of be getting too scared of this. The flush coming in, and then don't value bet an ace. And
yes,
I think in general, there are also quite a lot of recreationals that, you know, they bluff a lot, but they're not necessarily value betting that, you know, that in, especially for this size, you know, he is giving us a very good price. He can be bluffing that often. You know, he has to have value a lot of the time here when he goes for this size. So, and in general, like if a recreationals go for some bet like this, half pot or even lower, is going to be overbluffed by so much that
for sure. Yes. Yeah. And like in this kind of river, what you said is like very important. Like they will not value bet much of the ace-x, and then his bluffs will very likely try to represent the flush. So
yeah. And then also some portion of his ace-x is just going to be gone because he would have stabbed the flop. So
yeah, definitely some overstabbing by those hands as well. So yeah, super high big call, and indeed he finds the 5-3, which pretty surprising by our recreational with this kind of VPIP. But you know, I guess he was feeling loosey goosey, and well, that cost him.
Recreational gets, you know, impatient at some point when they play a lot, when maybe they're longer in their session or they get tilted or something like this.
Yeah,
will happen a lot with recreationals.
Yeah, for sure. Like, paying attention to the dynamics of the table is definitely pretty important, because even guys like this can be making, at some point of the session, they can be making big punts.
At GG, anything can happen, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've seen guys playing 10% VPIP with 2% 3-bet and all of a sudden just get it in with King 5 suited pre-flop or something like this. On GG, everything is possible. I wouldn't do anything else.
Yeah, it must be pretty surprising. Like you fall in 10s pre-flop versus the jam, and then he shows the King 5 suited.
Not like this happened.
Yeah. And last hand. So is it the? Wait, let me check it again. Yeah, it was the hand. Okay, so here we find a recreational. There is some context in this hand because there was already 2 or 3 pots before where he was already going for very aggressive lines with big sizes and also even potting river. And a couple of them were actually bluffs. So yeah, like he didn't have like a high BPIP, but then post-flop was going pretty nuts. So
what was the recreational?
The big blind, sorry. Yeah, that's the big line in this hand. I go for the open. Here, it doesn't seem to be super aggressive pre-flop or defending to lose. So versus these late positions, I do like, from these late positions, I do like still opening a lot. And then we have the post-flop advantage as well. So definitely open this hand.
It's going to depend a lot here, the way that the recreational is going to defend. Like if he's calling a lot and we can realize our equity and outplay him post-flop, then it's going to be very high EV. But if you play against recreational that's going to 3-bet a lot, you definitely don't want to do this, because then you can't really call with a hand like this, right? So then you will be just burning money.
Yes, exactly. I think as a general rule though, like recreationals will tend to play on the passive side. There are very few recreationals that are going to be over 3-betting, I think, in a spot like this. Yeah, but when we find those, it's pretty important to adjust the raising ranges and not go just blindly. Like if you see a recreational, just always open super loose, because as you said, like in those cases, indeed you actually want to open tighter, because you will.
Not only for a recreational. If you have this spot, even versus regulars, same thing is true. Totally. Like if you face a regular in the big blind that's only 3-betting 8% of the time, you can very easily open this. But if you have someone that's 3-betting GTO frequencies or even more aggressive, then it becomes very quickly very minus EV. That's why it's so important to really deviate constantly pre-flop and have very flexible ranges and don't play static pre-flop ranges.
Yes, totally. Okay, so, well, indeed, he goes for the call. On flop, we find this board, 5-4 deuce, which, yeah, I mean, in theory, should be quite good for big blind, but yeah, I don't think here I want to talk too much about theory when talking about our recreational. Well, with this hand, I mean, I could see different lines being taken. I think I prefer betting because it's a pretty strong hand. Like anytime we hit the 3 or the 7 is going to be a really strong hand. Even the 8 is pretty strong. The 6, well, not that strong, but I still can get us some good situations. So in general, I like putting money in the pot. And then in terms of sizes, well, here I don't mind getting check raise, so I don't mind inducing and going for a 1/3 since he's likely to be, like, since we see that he's pretty aggressive. I think the idea of going 1/3 facing check raises, it's sometimes not good with some hands, but I think this hand does benefit from seeing more money getting into the pot, especially when we're talking about a weak range, because I will be able to call and continue on turns and fight for the pot in general. So I think 1/3 is the sizing I like. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, agreed. So I definitely wouldn't want to do this if I have a hand that, you really don't want to get check raised.
Like Jack
right?
10 or 10-9, something like that.
And like that, or maybe some backdoor spades or something, a hand that really suffers from getting check raised. But indeed, this hand, there's a lot of merit to bet, because also we only have 8 high. So if we get him to fold, 9 high, 10 high here, it's going to be a good situation for us. And then, as you said, we can always fight back if we face aggression. So definitely like to go for a bet here.
Nice. I had to go for the bet. And, well, we find the check raise. Well, it was kind of expected. He goes big, which could also be a tell, could already be a tell by some players. Here, this guy, though, he was using pretty big sizes, and it didn't seem like those were stronger than any small sizes. So, generally, if I find this raised by an unknown, I would be a bit more careful. But versus this guy, I was not that worried when I found the check raise. But obviously, we're calling with this hand. I think much to say there. Turn, he goes for the barrel. And again, this is a bit part of the plan. Like we were expecting a lot of check raises from the flop, a lot of barreling. Here I still expect a lot of weak hands. He could be, obviously he has the equity hands, some value hands, but at the same time, on that board 5-4 deuce, literally any hand has 2 overs, any hand could go for a check raise and a barrel. And since we're expecting a strong, a pretty crazy guy, I expect this range to be somewhat weak. I think this on a queen of diamonds, I could consider jamming it in, because, well, I don't want to get pushed out of the pot by him if he goes for the jam on the river, or if he bets. However, here with the queen of spades, jamming it in could be pretty panty versus because there is a lot of high equity draws that he could hold, like pair plus draws or flush draws, and getting it in versus those is a big punt with this hand. But what do you think about this?
No, definitely. I think that really isn't an option, because there's too much stuff that indeed has a high equity draw or a pair plus flush draw, and then we get it in and we are crushed.
Mm-hmm.
One problem though here is if this guy is really aggressive and we call, I think part of this call being profitable is that we have some rivers to bluff on.
Mm-hmm.
If he's really aggressive with a triple barrel bluff, then it becomes pretty bad, because we have to always fold on the river if he goes for it. So going to depend a lot on if he is able to, or if his tendency is to go a lot for the triple barrel here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we got a lot of great outs here. We still have the double gutter. Yeah. If we hit an 8, we can maybe bluff catch. Depends on what your view is on it. But if it's a recreational that is really aggressive, then probably an 8 is going to be a card where we call down always.
Exactly.
So,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing. Like what you said, because like the thing is, like with this hand 8-6, like there are so many rivers, like both the 7, the 3, the 8, and the 6, where I plan actually to call river. That I think it's plus EV. But maybe if we're holding a hand like King 6, it's interesting versus such an aggressive guy that even though you know that you're very likely ahead or that his range is weak, since he's going to be continuing so often river and you won't improve much, you actually may have to make some tough falls, especially when jamming is not an option.
Yeah. No, for sure. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but with this, in this hand, I was planning on bluff catching if I hit a decent river. We do not hit though. And now he goes for the pot.
So he didn't went all in.
And the question is there room? Is there room for a bluff? So, yeah, the thing here is like, I already saw him going very, very aggressive. Those kind of lines. Usually the pot size would be a big sign of strength by a recreational. So without context, this is just a really easy fold. However, knowing that he was very aggressive and what we just said of him having a pretty loose range because we induced him on the flop, we still think that on the turn he could be barreling a lot. Again, river he still gets with many possible bluffs. And well, if we jam here, well, in the end, how much fold equity do we need? Like, we're risking like 40% or something. So we need like 44% equity. So the question is that does he have 44% bluffs? In that case, if the answer is a yes, there is actually room for jamming.
Mm-hmm.
And
feels
punty when you get called here.
Feels punty. Also,
punty for sure.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, like,
feels like it's too much that we need to go for it here, I would say. With how much we're risking, but I don't know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, well, his value range in the end, I mean, first, I'm not sure if he's really going that often for a 75% on that turn when there are so many flushers on the turn.
Yeah, that's a good point. I could see here that if he has a value hand that would go better,
Yeah, so like if you have 5-4, a straight, I think he's somewhat likely to go big, and the 10 doesn't really improve anything. So, I mean, he's a recreational, he could still have value for sure. Like, but yeah, if he shows up here with 4s, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But at the same time, I think some of those could be actually out of his range because of the sizing on the turn. And then on the river, like when he pots, he's probably saying he's got, I mean, maybe a queen. Does he go for a pot? 30 BP IP. I would be a bit surprised if he goes for a pot with a queen.
Well, it is someone that's quite volatile, right? He is. So I definitely, if he's a very volatile player, I very much could see him do this with a queen also.
Yeah, that's a good point. But then, he would be having like queen X, and then the nutted part of his range that doesn't really have that much. Then the rest are bluffs. Like hard flush draws. That, I mean, there are so many of them.
Spade 3x,
3x, ace-x even. I wouldn't be crazy if he has king 7 with a spade here or whatever. So I think would be quite easy actually to get that to that 44% that we mentioned. So even though it feels punty, I do think that here, I mean, we could do the flopzilla thing, but it's probably going to take too long. And it's
it's also very difficult here to really put them on an accurate range.
Exactly. But just from estimation, I would say that there will be enough bluffs really to go for this. Even though, it might seem, I mean, it's definitely not a standard play, but
no, for sure. Yeah, it's a very volatile spot because you don't know how wide he's going for value. Because if he's never doing this with the queen, then the situation changes quite a bit for me.
Yes.
Because there's way less value bet, and then he's going to be bluffing too much. In combination, actually, with his turn size, which I, to be honest, didn't fully recognize, I think it becomes better because I could see a lot of people are going to just be greedier when they have value in this spot.
Yeah,
especially on double flush draw. Like so many bet cards here could come on the river. He's not going to, if he has a set here, he's going to be upset if there's an ace, a tree, spades, hearts.
Yes.
I think almost everyone, especially recreational, that he isn't going to be very balanced with his sizes and strategies, right? He's just doing what he wants.
I think it's a size that your draws pretty easily, but then when you think about value, like it generally wants to go for a bigger size. So.
Interesting hand. I think definitely option here to go for the jam, as we have absolutely no showdown here.
I did risk
it is really scary though, because he only has to put 20 more, or like 23 more.
Yeah, imagine he calls it now with the king 6 because he's just still or whatever.
Just because he stilled it.
No, but he
did actually fold.
He did fold.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Also, like I liked it. If you look at the turn size, indeed, and then also because there are so many possible draws available, right? 3x hearts.
Yeah.
He could have some air hands.
Yeah.
But then the question is, if you haven't seen him make any plays on the river, you don't know if
definitely
how he's playing on the river, right? So you have to kind of make an
well,
estimation there.
Yeah, I wouldn't do this with a versus an unknown, because even though we don't expect that many value hands, when they go pot, generally, it's going to be more value heavy. So, but since I had already seen him doing these pot sizes several times, that really told me that he was not really that strong when he went for the pot, and it actually could be the opposite, that some players will be weaker when going for the pot. It's not the general rule, but there are always tendencies, and then
because he is so volatile, it very well could be a spot that's going to be pretty high EV to go for the jam instead of folding.
Yeah, I agree. And these are 3 of the hands we have played during the challenge, which hasn't started as smooth as I could have hoped. The results weren't great initially, and I wasn't feeling fully satisfied with my performance. But once I got used to the task around streaming, I noticed my performance steadily improving. I am sure there will be many actions where you will have taken a different line. Let us know in the comments so we can get a discussion going. But if you want to deeply understand how to crush recreationals pre-flop and post-flop, right now we're doing a series of webinars with insane value. So check Bluff the Spot and join the academy. And as usual, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications. See you soon.